I press my hand against the old wooden fence, the scent of sun-baked earth and fresh pine filling my lungs. Home. After 6 months away, I'm finally back. My family's land, 200 acres of rolling pastures, thick oak trees, and a little farmhouse that stood for over a century, is still the same. Or so I think. I step out of my truck, stretching my legs after the long drive. The crunch of gravel under my boots feels like a welcome home, but something is off. The wind carries a foreign scent, cement, chemicals, and something too polished for a place that's supposed to be untouched. My brow furrows. The farms always smelled like damp earth and hay, not asphalt and steel. My name is Malcolm Hayes, and this land has been in my family for generations. My great-grandfather fought to keep it, despite Jim Crow laws and banks that wouldn't lend to black farmers. My parents nearly lost it to an HOA takeover scheme years ago, but we held firm. This land is my bloodline, my legacy. But as I take a few more steps toward the house, unease curls in my gut. Something is wrong. I glance up. The sun is setting, washing the sky in fiery orange, but my eyes lock on something in the distance, a massive structure where my field should be. I freeze. My land should be open space, grass swaying in the breeze, an old barn leaning just slightly, but instead, a gleaming, modern building stands tall against the horizon. Glass panels catch the sunset's glow, and I spot a row of floodlights along the roof. It looks like a damn hotel. My chest tightens. What the hell is this? I drop my bag and stalk toward it, heart pounding. As I get closer, I see the fresh pavement of a parking lot where my father's crops used to grow. Coming soon, banner flutters in the wind, bold letters announcing, grand opening, the Whispering Pines Luxury Retreat. A hotel. On my land. My pulse hammers in my ears. I've been gone for 6 months, handling business out of state, paying my property taxes, keeping everything in order. How in the hell did someone build a whole damn hotel here? Then the memory slams into me like a truck. The HOA. Before I left, they were circling like vultures. Whispers of development and progress always came with side glances in my direction, as if I didn't belong. The president, William Carter, had hinted that my land was underutilized. He talked about how we needed to make the neighborhood more prestigious. I told him no, firmly. This farm wasn't for sale. But now, standing here, staring at a hotel that shouldn't exist, one thing is clear. They didn't wait for my permission. They thought I wouldn't fight back. They thought wrong. I stand in the dirt, fists clenched, staring up at the towering hotel like it's some kind of sick joke. 6 months. That's all I was gone. And in that time, they paved over my land, built parking lots where my father's crops used to grow, and put up a glass and steel monstrosity like they own the place. I need answers. I march toward the hotel, my boots scuffing against the gravel. The air is thick with the smell of fresh asphalt and chlorine. Chlorine? Did they build a damn pool on my land too? My gut twists. This isn't just a mistake. This is a violation. As I reach the front doors, they slide open with a soft whoosh, and I step inside. The lobby is sleek, modern, and completely out of place. The floors gleam under expensive chandeliers, and a woman in a crisp blazer stands behind a marble reception desk, smiling like she's welcoming guests to paradise. Her smile falters when she sees me. Too long. Like she's recalibrating, figuring out if I belong here. "Can I help you?" she asks, polite but wary. "Yeah," I say, voice tight. "You can start by telling me how this hotel ended up on my land." Her expression flickers, shock, confusion, then something else. Recognition. Before she can answer, a familiar voice cuts through the lobby. Smug. Condescending. Like nails on a chalkboard. "Well, well. Malcolm Hayes. Didn't think we'd see you back so soon." I turn and there he is. William Carter. He's dressed in his usual press slacks, a pastel button-down, that damn Rolex he always makes sure everyone can see. He's the HOA president, but he carries himself like he's the mayor, the governor, the damn king of this town. His blonde hair is perfectly combed, His skin just tanned enough to say he spends his time on exclusive golf courses, and his smile is what makes my blood boil. It's the kind of smile a man gives when he thinks he's already won. What the hell is this, Carter? I demand, stepping closer. Why is there a hotel on my property? He lets out a chuckle, shaking his head like I'm some foolish child. Oh, Malcolm, it's not your property anymore. The world tilts for a second. Not mine? I swallow the fury rising in my chest. You better start explaining. Now. Carter sighs dramatically, hands on his hips. You were gone a long time and the community had to make some decisions. Your land was just sitting there and used. So, after some legal adjustments, we repurposed it for the greater good. Legal adjustments. The words slam into me like a gut punch. They think they stole my land. They think I'll roll over and accept it. But they have no idea what they've just started. I step closer to William Carter, barely restraining the fury boiling under my skin. Legal adjustments? I echo, my voice low. You think you can steal my land and throw out some legal jargon to make it stick? Carter exhales through his nose, his smirk never faltering. He enjoys this. The power, the control. The way he thinks he can talk circles around me while standing in a building erected on stolen ground. It's not stealing, Malcolm, he says, tone dripping with condescension. It's progress. Your land was underutilized, and the HOA, along with some very influential partners, worked tirelessly to ensure this community reaches its full potential. His words make my jaw clench, so tight I swear my teeth might crack. I know exactly what he means. Underutilized is what people like him say when they see black-owned land and decide it would look better with a country club or high-rise condos. You had no right, I say, my voice like gravel. His smile widens, and he adjusts his Rolex. We had every right. You see, Malcolm, while you were off wherever it is you went, you failed to respond to several important notices regarding zoning changes. Now, per HOA policy, unclaimed or unpaid lands that become subject to eminent domain. Eminent domain? My voice rises. You're telling me the damn HOA declared eminent domain on my farm? He waves a dismissive hand. Not the HOA directly, of course. But we worked closely with some wonderful legal experts who helped make this transition as smooth as possible. I want to lunge at him, but I won't give him the satisfaction. Instead, I inhale slowly and say, "Show me the paperwork." Carter gives a pitying shake of his head. Oh, Malcolm. It's all been handled. All above board. Bullshit. I turn on my heel and storm out before I do something that lands me in handcuffs. I need proof. I drive straight to the county records office, my hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles ache. If they took my land legally, there has to be a paper trail. The clerk, an older black woman named Mrs. Reynolds, frowns when I explain my situation. She taps furiously on her keyboard, muttering under her breath. A minute later, her eyes go wide. Oh, honey, this ain't right. My stomach knots. What is it? She turns the screen toward me. There was a zoning change. But look at the date. I lean in. 4 months ago. That's impossible, I say. I've been paying my property taxes. She nods. Except they changed the ownership records right before the taxes were due. Sent them to a P.O. box, one linked to the HOA. A cold wave washes over me. They rerouted my property tax notices, claimed non-payment, and seized my land. I clench my fists. Can you print that out for me? She presses her lips together, then nods. I'll do one better. I'll get you copies of everything. The next day, I show up at a town council meeting, copies of my stolen land records in hand. I'm not alone. Word spread fast. The black farmers who still own land in this town, they see the writing on the wall. What happened to me could happen to any of them. And the ones who already lost land over the years? They have their own suspicions. As the meeting begins, Carter walks in all smiles, shaking hands with his friends, his investors, his enablers. His expression shifts when he sees me sitting in the front row, a thick file resting on my lap. I don't look away. He knows. He's starting to realize I'm not going down without a fight. The town council chambers are packed. Rows of polished wooden benches creak under the weight of residents, most of them older folks who've lived here for decades. Some whisper among themselves, eyes flicking between me and the smug man sitting at the front of the room. William Carter. He lounges in his chair like this is already decided, like he's just here, as a formality. Next to him sit three men in crisp suits, his legal team. The county commissioner, a balding man with sweat pooling at his collar, clears his throat. "All right, let's move on to the next order of business," he says. "We have a complaint filed by—" He glances down at the paper, then back up, almost like he's surprised. "Malcolm Hayes, regarding the Whispering Pines development." A ripple goes through the crowd. I stand. That's right. I'm here because my land was stolen. Carter exhales dramatically, shaking his head with that same damn smirk. He leans into his microphone. "Mr. Hayes, this matter has already been settled through the proper legal channels. You failed to respond to multiple notices, and the HOA followed every protocol necessary to ensure the best use of the land for our community." I hold up the thick folder of documents. "You mean this protocol?" I walk forward, the weight of the papers solid in my hands. "Because, according to these county records, you didn't just repurpose my land. You rerouted my tax notices, then filed non-payment to seize my property." Carter's smile falters, but only slightly. "Now, let's not get caught up in technicalities." I toss a set of printed emails onto the table in front of the council members. That's a paper trail showing how the HOA coordinated with the county office to change my mailing address without my consent. The commissioner picks up a sheet and frowns. The murmurs in the room grow louder. Carter shifts in his seat but quickly recovers. He lets out a chuckle, shaking his head like I'm a confused child. "Malcolm, I understand this is emotional for you, but the fact remains. I'm not done." My voice cuts through his condescension like a blade. I take another step forward. "You also signed off on permits before you even owned the land, which, by the way, is illegal as hell." The murmurs grow into full-on chatter. Carter glances at his lawyers, but they sit stiffly, faces unreadable. I press on. "And if that's not enough, I have something even better." I pull a USB drive and hold it up. Security footage from the county office, showing HOA members, including you, walking in and signing falsified documents to rush the approval process. That does it. Carter's face drains of color. Silence grips the room, thick and suffocating. His fingers tap against the desk, his mind scrambling for a way out. Then, he does what men like him always do when caught. He doubles down. "This is outrageous," he says, voice rising. "The HOA acted within its rights. This is just a bitter former landowner trying to stir up trouble." I don't even have to respond, because Mrs. Reynolds, the county clerk, stands up from the back row. "That's a lie," she says firmly. "I saw those records get changed, and I knew something wasn't right." Gasps ripple through the crowd. Carter's mask cracks, just for a second. Then, another voice speaks up. "You forged my father's signature on our property sale." It's an older black man in the crowd. Then another voice. "Mine too." One by one, people stand. Farmers, homeowners, all of them victims of the same scheme. Carter's face is full of barely contained panic. His lawyers shift in their seats, suddenly looking for exits. I step closer to the microphone. "You didn't just steal from me," I say, my voice steady. "You stole from this entire community. And now, you're going to pay for it." And from the way Carter's hands shake, I know he finally understands he's lost. The silence in the town council chambers is suffocating. William Carter's face is frozen in an expression I've never seen before. Not arrogance, not smug amusement, but something dangerously close to fear. I take my time, letting the weight of the moment settle. Because now, I have him. The commissioner clears his throat, shuffling the stack of damning documents I handed over. He looks from me to Carter, his forehead damp with sweat. "Mr. Carter," he says carefully, "these are very serious allegations. If what Mr. Hayes is claiming is true..." Carter slams his hand on the desk. This is ridiculous. His voice cracks at the edges. You're going to take his word over mine? Over ours? He gestures wildly at his lawyers, but none of them move. Smart. They know when to cut their losses. Carter scoffs and looks back at me. Malcolm, you're making a huge mistake. This is slander. You don't have real proof. I smile. Funny you should say that. I raise the USB drive, the one containing security footage from the county office. Carter goes stiff. Let's watch a little video, shall we? I say, handing the drive to the commissioner. One of the clerks hurries over, plugging it into the council's projector. The screen flickers to life, and the footage plays. On screen, a grainy but clear video shows Carter walking into the county records office, flanked by 2 HOA members. He leans on the counter, all confidence, as he slides a stack of documents toward the clerk on duty. This needs to go through quickly, Carter says. His voice echoes in the chamber. We've already reassigned the property. No need to notify the owner. He's absent anyway. The audience gasps. On screen, the clerk hesitates. I don't think I can process this without. Carter leans in, lowering his voice, but the security audio catches every word. Do you enjoy working here? He asks, smooth as glass. The clerk stiffens. Carter taps his fingers on the desk. Because if this doesn't go through, we'll have to reevaluate some positions around here. The footage cuts off. The room erupts. Shouting. Accusations. Voices layered on top of each other. Someone yells, "He threatened people." Another demands, "Is this how you've been running the HOA?" Carter's composure shatters. "This is out of context," he barks, his voice higher now. You can't use that against me. That's private property." The commissioner slams a gavel. Enough. He turns to the council's attorney. "Is this evidence admissible?" The attorney, a stiff-looking man who's been silent this whole time, exhales through his nose. He looks at Carter like he's already dead. "Yes," he says simply. "It is." Carter's breathing turns ragged. His gaze darts around the room, searching for support. But his allies? The same HOA board members who backed him all these years? They're avoiding his eyes. The whispers grow louder. People shift in their seats. I spot 2 council members exchanging nervous glances. They know this is bigger than just my land. I press forward. "You didn't just steal from me, Carter." I turn to the audience. "How many of you lost land over the years? How many of you were forced to sell or suddenly missed tax payments?" A pause. Then a hand rises. Then another. And another. Old farmers. Black families. Small business owners. People who have been here for generations. Carter knows it's over. His mouth opens and closes, like a fish gasping for air. Then, in true coward fashion, he tries to flip the script. "You can't blame me for this," he shouts. "I didn't act alone. The HOA voted on every decision. The county approved the zoning. You want a villain? Look around. Everyone had a hand in this." His voice cracks, desperate. The same people who used to hang on his every word now shrink away. No one is standing with him. Not a single person. The door at the back of the chamber swings open, and a woman in a gray suit strides in. Carter sees her and turns pale. Detective Lisa Reynolds. County Fraud Division. She nods at me, then addresses the room. "I've been reviewing Mr. Hayes' complaint, and after seeing this footage, I can confirm that the county will be launching an official investigation." Carter snaps. "You can't do this," he roars. "I built this neighborhood. Me." His face is red, spit flying from his lips. "Do you think he can maintain what I've built? You people don't know what it takes to." The room goes silent. "You people." The moment the words leave his mouth, I watch as whatever remnants of support he had vanish. Detective Reynolds pulls a warrant from her folder. "William Carter, you are under investigation for fraud, tax manipulation, and unlawful seizure of private property." She steps forward. "We're going to need you to come with us." Carter stumbles back. Wait, I have lawyers." "I have." "Your lawyers left 10 minutes ago," I say, nodding toward the exit. He spins, "They're gone." And just like that, The empire he built, his stolen throne, collapses. The moment William Carter is led out of the council chambers in handcuffs, the weight in my chest finally lifts. For months, I've been fighting, pushing against a system designed to erase me. And now, I watch as the same man who tried to steal my family's land, my legacy, is paraded in front of the town like a thief caught in the act. Because that's exactly what he is. The cameras are already rolling. Local news reporters shove microphones forward, peppering him with questions. Mr. Carter, did you falsify county documents? Were you aware you were illegally seizing Black-owned properties? He tries to keep his head up, but there's no salvaging this. His kingdom has crumbled. A reckoning in the community. The fallout is swift. By the next morning, Carter's face is plastered across every news station. Words like fraud, corruption, and abuse of power flash in bold red banners beneath his name. His once loyal investors scatter, distancing themselves. HOA members resign one by one, suddenly eager to claim they had no idea. The Whispering Pines Hotel?
Shut down.
Turns out, when a development is built on stolen land, the county has every right to revoke its permits. The fancy investors Carter bragged about? They pull out instantly, not wanting their brands tied to a racist land grab. Within weeks, the hotel's grand opening banner is torn down, replaced with a foreclosure notice. I drive past it one evening and just smile, reclaiming what's mine. It takes time, but my farm is legally restored to me. Every shady contract, every fraudulent document is overturned in court. The land that had been stripped bare to make room for Carter's monstrosity, I make it whole again. Neighbors, black, white, young, old, volunteer to help rebuild. Some bring tools. Others bring apologies. I should have spoken up earlier. An elderly white man tells me one afternoon, gripping his hat in both hands. I saw what they were doing, but I just didn't want to get involved. I study him for a moment. Then I nod. Then get involved now.
He does.
A final justice. Carter's trial is a spectacle. With all the evidence stacked against him, the forged signatures, the threats caught on camera, the trail of illegal land grabs, he doesn't stand a chance. The judge doesn't just convict him. He destroys him.
Fraud.
Conspiracy. Illegal seizure of property. Carter loses everything.
His assets?
Frozen. His cushy HOA salary?
Gone.
The house he lorded over us from? Seized to cover legal fees. The final blow comes when the community sues him. Every single person he stole from, every farmer, every family, we take him to court together. And when the ruling is handed down, we win. Carter, once the most powerful man in Whispering Pines, leaves town broke and disgraced.
Peace at last.
One evening, as the sun sets over my land, I walk through my fields, the soil warm beneath my fingertips. The trees sway gently, whispering their secrets. The land breathes again. A voice breaks the silence. You did it. I turn to see Mrs. Reynolds, the county clerk who helped me uncover the fraud. She smiles, her eyes reflecting the golden hues of dusk. We did it, I correct. She nods, then gestures toward the rebuilt barn, the fields stretching far and wide. What now? I exhale, looking out at everything that was almost taken from me.
Now?
I build.